Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we are kicking off ranked battles for Series 2 in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The Series 2 rule set started in the beginning of February and introduces Paradox Pokemon into the format. Previously, in December and January for VGC, no Paradox Pokemon were allowed, so obviously the format is going to look quite different now than it did a couple of days and weeks ago. And so to kick things off, I wanted to use a team that's incredibly powerful and consistent. It just won a big tournament online, and it features 3 Paradox Pokemon in Fluttermane, Iron Bundle, and Iron Hands. I think those are going to be 3 of the most common Paradox Pokemon you're going to run into in the beginning of the format. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down in the description below. And thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate it if you consider leaving a like on the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out a ton. Anyway, let's get started with our Series 2 journey. First of all, a huge thank you to VGC for building and sharing this team. I've linked their Twitter down in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste, and this team won the Hatterene Series #1 for Scarlet and Violet, which was a online grassroots tournament, which took place at the end of January. I think, honestly, this tournament is a really fun preview for some of the teams and strategies you might expect to see in Series 2, and one thing that I love is that there's so many different Paradox Pokemon represented in the top 8, and so I'll link the tournament results down below if you want to check out all of the teams from the event, and of course, some of the Pokemon and pastes let the players used as well. So yeah, just wanted to highlight it as I thought it was a really cool event. So when talking about the team, with this being a brand new format, I of course wanted to first highlight the Paradox Pokemon. In fact, one of the reasons I selected this team is because I think Letta has a lot of staples that you are going to see at the top of the format in the upcoming days and weeks. And so the first 3 Pokemon I'll talk about, of course, are the Paradox Pokemon on this team. That's Iron Bundle, Iron Hands, and Fluttermane. Now, Iron Bundle is kind of, it reminds me of Regieleki from Sword and Shield in the sense that it's really fast, especially with this Booster Energy and Quark Drive combo, and you can use Icy Wind for further speed control, right? And so it synergizes really nicely with a lot of the attackers on this team, especially Fluttermane, Baxcalibur, and Arcanine. And the thing about Iron Bundle is that it's even stronger into like opposing Hyper Offense teams that maybe don't have a Booster Energy on Iron Bundle. Focus Sash is another item I've seen on this Pokemon, as well as something like Choice Specs, for example. The general idea behind Iron Bundle is, first of all, you get speed control via Icy Wind, and second of all, you just deal good damage between Hydro Pump and Freeze Dry. Ice Terra isn't really that common in Scarlet and Violet VGC, but it makes sense on this Pokemon to kind of maximize your damage output with Freeze Dry, because Freeze Dry is actually not exactly the strongest attack. And so Iron Bundle is really nice when kind of set next to the Fluttermane, and this allows you to actually beat like other Fluttermanes, right? For example, you can just Icy Wind, drop their speed, and you don't even have to risk a speed tide, then your Fluttermane can just Shadow Ball into the opposing side. I think Focus Sash Fluttermane is going to be one of the most common sets you're going to see in Series 2. I've also seen Booster Energy and Choice Specs as well, but I think Focus Sash plus Perish Song is an incredibly potent combination, and I expect this to be one of the most standard sets because the idea is that you have a lot of good damage distribution early on with Moonblast and Shadow Ball. Sash allows you to survive for a little bit longer, and you can often like switch out Fluttermane and then bring it back out in the end game, click Perish Song, and just end the game from there. And so Fairy Terra here is mainly to kind of maximize your damage output with Moonblast, and of course also have a defensive option so that you're no longer weak to Ghost and Dark, for example. So these 2 are just like really hyper offensive. I kind of see as like glass cannons because they're fairly easy to knock out with the lack of like super good defenses. But one thing to note is like Iron Bundle's defense is actually solid. It's its special defense that's really lacking, and Fluttermane's special defense is actually quite solid. Its defense that's really quite lacking. The final Paradox Mon here is Iron Hands. Grass Terra is fairly common on these to give you a better matchup into Amoonguss, and Amoonguss I think is going to see a fair amount of play throughout Series 2, as we also saw its usage spike up towards the end of Series 1. Now, with Iron Hands, this is just a really strong Fake-Out user that also does good damage between Drain Punch and Thunder Punch. The idea is that this Pokemon just sticks on the field for a really long time. It's difficult to knock out, especially with the Assault Vest. Volt Switch works really well on this team because it allows you to pivot out into, say, Arcanine for an Intimidate, or Garganacl. Garganacl, of course, is a Pokemon that won the San Diego Regional Championships, the very first regionals in Scarlet and Violet, and it's a Pokemon I feel like people kind of just slept on before regionals, and now people realize, wait, this is really, really good. And it fits in really nicely with this team because there's so much defense to work with between Fake Out support as well as Intimidate and Will-O-Wisp support from the Arcanine, but Volt Switch from the Iron Hands is really nice to pivot out into Garganacl. With Iron Hands, I generally wouldn't expect this to get like big one-hit KOs, but that's not really what it's meant to do. It's really meant to stick on the field for a long time, soak up these attacks, and also just distribute damage between Drain Punch and Thunder Punch. Fake Out's always good utility as well. So I definitely expect these 3 to be the most common Paradox Pokemon, and I think Roaring Moon is kind of on their tier as well. Those are the 4 that I think you'll definitely see in terms of just raw usage numbers, but I think there will be good teams designed around, honestly, all of the Paradox Pokemon, so that's something to look out for. To round out this team, you've got Excalibur and Garganacl. These were two Pokemon where, like, I feel like their stock really rose towards the end of Series 1 VGC. Both of these, of course, winning the San Diego Regional Championships. This Excalibur is actually a little bit faster. I feel like sometimes players just go with, like, max HP Excalibur, but with this speed and with Excalibur becoming more common, you can potentially outspeed opposing Excaliburs, which, of course, is really nice. And the Loaded Dice Icicle Spear combo is just really strong. One reason I actually really like Excalibur, by the way, is because, like, with Water Terra, you can, like, Terra defensively into Flutter Mane and just go for like Icicle Spear into it immediately, and like Flutter Mane's really frail defensively, which you can take advantage of, right? The final Pokemon is Arcanine. Arcanine is a Pokemon that I think I was expecting it to be a little bit more popular in the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, and it's still decent use, but like it definitely wasn't nearly as high as expected it to, because this was like one of the most dominant Pokemon when it was allowed in 2017 in a regional dex format. I think Arcanine's coming back in full force. Like, Arcanine and Tyranitar are two Pokemon that I think maybe didn't see as much use in Series 1, but I expect to be more popular in Series 2. And for Arcanine, it's just being able to obviously intimidate. That in itself is really valuable. Like, Snarl is also really valuable. Will-O-Wisp is really good. And it's also just fairly tanky. The Dark Terra exists on Arcanine here to give you a better matchup into Psychic Pokemon and attacks, such as Armarouge plus Indeedee, for example. Then against that duel, you can just click Snarl immediately. So, yeah, expect this Pokemon to, I think, be a little bit more common in Series 2. And I have, I having used it, I think it fits really well onto a lot of teams. And so there's so much utility with this team, and I think like you can go with like the hyper offense mode where you just go with like Flutter Mane Iron Bundle early, try to distribute a lot of damage. I've had games where I like lead Arcanine Garganacl and just play really defensively, start Salt Curing immediately. So I feel like there's a ton of flexibility with the team, but the main thing I'll call out is I think Perish Zone is incredibly good on this team, and it's often one of the late game win conditions I look towards. What I try to do often is just pick up 2 knockouts. If I'm bringing Flutter Mane, just click Perish Zone and end the game from there. And so that's one of the biggest win cons I think like you should pay attention to. The other is just kind of like stalling out with Garganacl and being on the field for forever. So yeah, that's it for the team. Let's quickly highlight some weaknesses. So for weaknesses, we're playing a brand new format, and Arcanine, like I mentioned, I think will rise in popularity. One thing I've seen to actually counter that is Clear Amulet, and I've seen that on a bunch of different physical attackers, things like Scizor or Great Tusk, for example. And I think Clear Amulet's really strong because often Arcanine's like, okay, you know what, I'm going to switch into a physical attacker, and yeah, maybe you have a super effective attack into me, but after you're at -1, it's not that scary. The difference between neutral and -1 can really just be astronomical when using like a super effective attack into something like Arcanine, right? And so I think that in itself is really interesting. So I've seen Clear Amulet. I think Lumberry to kind of stop these Will-O-Wisp can also be quite annoying, especially in best of 1 in a closed team sheet environment. Obviously, once we get to open team sheet environments in like in-person tournaments, things are a little bit different. But yeah, Clear Amulet's an item that I feel like we actually saw very little of in Series 1 because Intimidate kind of fell off. Then it started rising towards the end of the format, I feel like, with things like Tauros and Salamence. And so I think that's one item that can give some trouble. I think the other thing to consider is that like Iron Bundle and Flutter Mane are really frail, and so they can just go down to super effective hits, especially from Iron Bundle, like super effective electric type attacks, for example. Flutter Mane, for example, doesn't match up super well into steel type Pokemon. And so like, when I see Scizor in Team Preview, I actually get a little bit nervous because the only way to really handle Scizor is, like, Arcanine Flare Blitz. Or, you can, of course, like, Shadow Ball plus Hydro Pump into it. But wildly enough, like, Scizor has priority into Flutter Mane plus Iron Bundle, which can be annoying. I think priority is something that might even be more valuable in this format than previous ones because they're now even faster Pokemon in Iron Bundle and Flutter Mane, for example. Intimidate against Excalibur obviously can be kind of annoying to deal with here, and even though Water Terra is good, you can take advantage of it with super effective like electric type attacks, for example. Grass is like actually kind of interesting because it covers for the Water Terra and it's super good into Garganacl, as well as being decent into the Iron Bundle as well, which I think is intriguing. And so I think like sometimes this games with this team can go on for a long time, and like what I've sometimes fallen into the trap of is like being like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to end the game with a Perish Song, but then like I lose too many resources and don't have enough in the end game to actually like confidently seal the game up with Perish Song. So you got to be careful about like not losing too many resources on your end immediately. And keep in mind that like Garganacl is not really going to deal that much damage. It's going to stay on the field for a long time, similar to Iron Hands. But there are games where I've had where my opponent kind of just out offenses me, and I'm thinking, oh, I can slowly whittle away with Cell Cure and Recover, but then they just like do too much to me and things get out of control. With the Ghost Terra, Garganacl here is going to be pretty weak to King Gambit in particular, so keep that in mind. I think like one thing that I've run into that's kind of interesting is like Defiant users like King Gambit or Annihilate. Normally Arcanine's the solution, but sometimes they'll have like speed control next to that Pokemon to like slow down Arcanine or to give me some more trouble, for example. So yeah, ultimately I think like there's a very delicate balance between the offense and the defense on this team, and you got to figure out how to kind of best utilize both of them. So that's it for the breakdown and weaknesses. Let's dive into these battles. All right, our first game here, and we've got the same Paradox Mons. These are the ones you should expect to definitely see a good amount. So Fluttermane, Bundle, and Iron Hands with Rotom Heat, Gastrodon, and Mimikyu. Garganacl, not that great into so many special attackers in my opinion. Snar Arcanine's solid. Kind of worried about playing like the Bundle Mirror. The Bundle is really solid. Rotom Key plus Gastrodon, though, is kind of scary to deal with, in my opinion. Especially if it's Nasty Plot. I generally like Excalibur because it can Terra and Icicle Spear / Glaive Rush is just really powerful. I think I want the top 3. It's just between Iron Hands and Arcanine. I think having the Assault Vest here helps a lot, though, whereas the Arcanine kind of just gets obliterated by a Hydro Pump from the opposing end. So I'll go with Iron Hands, Excalibur, Fluttermane, and Iron Bundle. I don't know. Garganacl's interesting here, but, like, they have a lot of strong special attackers between the Rotom, Gastrodon, and then, of course, the Iron Bundle and Fluttermane as well. I think their team is just a little bit too offensive for me to feel comfortable with Garganacl, and they don't really have that many spread moves either for me to, like, use Wide Guard against. Also, I love the blue background. I feel like I've been so used to the kind of orange one that we saw in Series 1. So, let's see. I think Excalibur here has the potential to just get some big knockouts with Icicle Spear, especially onto things like Mimikyu and Fluttermane. But they're going to go with Iron Hands and Rotom. Okay. Well, playing the Iron Hands Mirror here is a little awkward, I have to say. Like, I don't hate the idea of switching into Fluttermane, because it's immune to Fake Out plus Fighting type attacks, so Focus Sash is conserved, and then just Fake Out into Rotom on turn 1. And then Fluttermane plus my Iron Hands pressures their Iron Hands. I think Excalibur is really good, but I think ideally we eliminate their Iron Hands first. And the Iron Bundle is really solid, but it's about positioning it correctly. Okay, cool. And our Fake Out goes out first, which is really good info as well. My only question is whether or not a double up onto their hands actually is enough to get the knockout right now, because I would love to KO this immediately and just go for Moonblast into it as well as a Drain Punch. Let's see. Because if we knock out their Iron Hands, then Excalibur, I think, is really well positioned. Part of the problem with Excalibur is, of course, I could Terra to get rid of the Ice typing, but then I turn into Water. They're going to Terra here immediately, though, so that's probably their Iron Hands Terraing, right? Yeah. Into Electric. Okay. Don't mind that too much, I guess, but it's likely Fluttermane is going down here, if I had to guess. That was a crit Moonblast, so they're definitely Assault Vested. Rotom is Trick, so they're going to steal away an Assault Vest. It's probably Choice Specs. No, it's Scarf. I don't mind Scarf actually too much, honestly. But what are they going for in return? Oh, it's actually just Wild Charge. Okay. That crit was pretty fortunate. Without the crit, then I'm not sure they faint from recoil. Actually, I'm still not sure they faint from recoil, but let's see. Do you take enough? No, they still have enough HP. Okay. That's really fine, though. Especially knowing you are Assault Vested. I'm happy to just Protect here into Drain Punch onto hands. Like, I feel like that Terra just didn't really do that much for my opponent, but they're going to switch, which I think makes a lot of sense. Into Mimikyu, sure. Yeah, it's a good play. So Mimikyu obviously might have Shadow Sneak here. The question is whether or not I should consider switching out Fluttermane. They're going to Volt Switch into the Fluttermane. Okay. So now you can Shadow Sneak Volt Switch, for example. And I am locked into Drain Punch, actually, so I can't really do much into Mimikyu right now. But I can Drain Punch the Rotom slot, at least. Well, Shadow Ball, Mimikyu, Drain Punch into Rotom. I expect Shadow Sneak here, but let's see. I think if they don't sneak, it's really good, obviously, for Excalibur. Oh, they don't sneak. Okay. I guess it could be a double up into my Hariyama right now. Or, sorry, Iron Hands. You could, like, Overheat or Volt Switch plus play Rough that slot. But it's going to be Volt Switch into Flutter Mane, sure. I thought Gastrodon would be their final Pokemon, because otherwise the Iron Bundle looked pretty scary for them to go up against. So I'm curious what comes out now. Could be their own Flutter Mane, right? But if it's their own Flutter Mane, I think we're well positioned to just Terra with the Excalibur. And yeah, it's Gastrodon. Okay, cool. Drain Punch chips away, heals back a little bit. Well, we don't really have much to heal right now, but Trick Room goes up. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I'll bring Excalibur out. Honestly, with Bax, I feel like I just Terra here. Get rid of Mimikyu, Icicle Spear into Mimikyu, and then just Drain Punch again into Gastrodon. I think Trick Room is actually not the easiest matchup for this team, so the fact they were able to successfully set it up was well done. Especially after getting Choice Scarf. Because, like, if Iron Bundle just had Assault Vest right now, this would be such a different game, right? But the trick was really cool from their end, and not something I would anticipate really in a best of one. But Tearing here helps against a potential play Rough. I'm mainly curious about the rest of Mimikyu's moveset here. Gastrodon is scary, but it doesn't do that much damage to Excalibur. The main thing is having this awkward Iron Bundle in the back. I would say it's completely useless for me right now. Like, I would have been better off having something like Garganacl instead. Also going for Water Terror here now makes me weak to Rotom, but I'm also not sure how fast their Rotom is going to be, especially given that I had a Choice Scarf earlier. I'd expect a fair amount of speed investment, but Gastrodon actually just goes for Protect, which I'm totally fine with. But let's see if Mimikyu has, like, Will-O-Wisp. We're still faster than Mimikyu under Trick Room, which is good to note. Not surprising, obviously, though. They're probably max speed Mimikyu here, then, or not max speed, but, like, decently invested. So, yeah, this actually works out great for us. We kind of just get a free knockout. And they just committed to Protect. The only downside is I used the Terror up for that, but it's okay. Their Iron Hands is really low HP. An Ice Shard will finish it off. If they bring out Rotom, we know it can't Protect. Unless it's running Choice Scarf plus Protect, which I guess could exist. But I wouldn't bet on it. Yep, so their Hands comes out. Iron Bundle in the back. I can Protect. I can't Protect with you. I mean, I'm worried about, like, a Wild Charge into Excalibur, right? So I don't mind Protecting here and then just Drain Punching into Iron Hands. There's Protect. Okay, they go for Earth Power. Nice, does less than half. Good read. They double up onto that slot, but that's still okay, I think. Yeah, I just didn't want to Ice Shard because I wasn't 100% confident it would KO, but after this Drain Punch, I think we definitely KO. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So they can obviously Earth Power that slot again, but that's fine. Ice Shard now will finish off their Iron Hands. 2 turns of Trick Room, meaning I can just double Protect. And then Freeze Dry Glaive Rush, right? Yeah, so I'll just Ice Shard here and Drain Punch into Gastrodon. Beautiful. I'm really impressed by how good Excalibur has felt on this team. We already knew it was trending upwards after Series 1, but yeah, just quite impressed. Ah, they actually Earth Power into Excalibur, even better. Cool. Special Defense drop is slightly concerning, actually. Is that a problem? The thing is, I should actually survive another Earth Power from Gastrodon right now. I also just don't know how fast their Rotom is. Like, I don't know if we actually outspeed it under Trick Room. I don't know, with Choice Scarf? I'm actually thinking about just clicking Glaive Rush into Rotom and then just Drain Punch into Gastrodon again. So they just Earth Power. We survived this earlier. Yep, nice. Drain Punch, I think, gets the KO. Nice. It was interesting. Like, the trick was valuable for my opponent in locking Iron Hands up. You can see how bulky Iron Hands is. It just stayed on the field the entire game, even with that Choice Scarf. Yeah, Excalibur is faster under Trick Room. That's what I thought. Almost gets the KO. That's fine. They'll Thunderbolt, but now it's a 2v1 with Bundle plus the Iron Hands. And you can only knock out one Pokemon here. We've seen Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Trick. Surely it's Overheat as the last one. I think the only thing I'd have to be worried about here is like a potential Discharge. The main thing is I actually don't want to risk losing the game off a Hydro Pump miss. But 2 Freeze Dry should always get the KO anyway. Right? And so I can Freeze Dry plus Drain Punch here, essentially, to secure us the win. So Freeze Dry and Drain Punch. Just don't want to risk losing off an inaccurate move, but yeah. So that was pretty interesting. I think Trick Room was scary, but essentially, like, Iron Hands looked so good in that match, and that's why this Pokemon is fantastic in the format. Even without our Assault Vest and just being locked into Drain Punch, like, we stayed on the field for the entirety of the battle, essentially, right? And so this Pokemon just has really great stats overall, and being able to heal back and sustain with Drain Punch is really nice. So, I think also Electric Terra from their end, from their Iron Hands, was interesting. It made sense to survive the Moonblast a little bit better, but they were always going to survive there anyway. It was just to take it even better. But we, of course, also got a lucky crit onto the Iron Hands in the beginning of the game, which made the match easier for me as well. But yeah, good way to get the brand new format started here. Ooh, Iron Valiant, as well as Great Tusk with Arcanine, Grimmsnarl, King Gambit, and the Roaring Moon. What do we want to do here? I think King Gambit in general is just really scary, thanks to Sucker Punch. I think it has a really favorable matchup until the top 3 Pokemon. Arcanine's interesting, because even though it might activate Defiant, we can just burn King Gambit, making it just less scary in general. Assault Vest on Iron Hands here is really not valuable as an item. I think Arcanine's a must-bring given the amount of physical attackers they have. Fighting is still good coverage from this, though, right? I don't hate, like, a Excalibur. Their Arcanine's annoying as well. Like, I almost am thinking maybe I should play towards Garganacl in this one. Because being able to slowly chip away with Stalk here, given how bulky their team is, I think is valuable. So I'm honestly thinking like Arcanine plus Garganacl. Fluttermane. See, I don't know how I feel about Bundle. It does pressure with a couple of super effective attacks. It's just a Glass Cannon. I'm going to go Iron Hands instead. The problem, like, that I'm facing here is that my opponent's team is already really bulky, and then they have Grimmsnarl for further screen support, and the thing with Bundle is I feel like maybe it gets one attack off, but then it just gets KO'd so easily in return. I think Iron Bundle is really good for Icy Wind speed control, especially against, like, Hyper Offense teams, but my opponent's team is way bulkier than, you know, those Hyper Offense teams, so it's going to be Grim and King Gambit. Okay. That works. I guess my only fear is whether or not they have Fake Out from Grimmsnarl on turn 1. Otherwise, it's pretty free to just Will-O-Wisp. I don't know. I think double protecting here to scout for what they want to go for is fine. Like, Grimmsnarl is expected to get screens up in this game anyway, right? I think Fire Terror or Lumberry on King Gambit would also be fascinating here. And I think with Arcanine now coming back into the format, like, in full force, I wouldn't be surprised to see people, like, tech that in. Although Fire King Gambit's interesting because obviously you're still weak to ground. Okay, they just protect. That works for me. Confirming that they're not Assault Vets is also a pretty big piece of information right away. What is Grim going for here? Just Reflect. Okay. Works for me. I am happy to now Will-O-Wisp into that slot and Salt Cure into that slot. They do have Thunder Wave though. Okay. Does King Gambit outspeed Arcanine now that I'm at half speed is the question. The answer is no, but I get paralyzed. Oh, great. Okay. That is so frustrating, because if that Will-O-Wisp hits, obviously Iron Head does way less damage, enough where then I can, like, recover pretty... I can protect into recover, but now Garganackle is, like, in a much worse position. It's actually leftovers. That's interesting. So the Soul Cure damage is going to add up. Knowing that I'm faster than King Gambit's a very good piece of information as well. I could just Flare Blitz it, honestly, instead of Will-O-Wisping. Like, I'm thinking about double protecting this turn and then Flare Blitz recover next turn. Oh, but they set up Reflect, so I don't think that actually works. Disappointing, but, you know, like, essentially, the odds of me getting Will-O-Wisp off, I needed either Thunder Wave to miss and me to connect on Will-O-Wisp, or Thunder Wave connects and I connect, right? So the odds are still pretty overwhelmingly in my favor, but they're not, like, it's not 100%, right? So, just part of the game. Spirit Break to Garganackle, makes sense. Kowtow Cleave. The other debate is whether or not I should consider tearing the Arcanine here defensively. I don't think that really makes that much sense. With Reflect up, I certainly don't expect Flare Blitz to knock out King Gambit. Yeah, it's just a shame because I think Garganackle is likely just out of commission for the remainder of this battle. Unless it survives Spare Break and they just go for Kowtow Cleave again. Also, maybe Flare Blitz does get the KO. Because they're intimidated, so I actually wouldn't expect Spare Break to KO. I might actually go for Will-O-Wisp here, given like the play that they made last turn, and then recover. Because I think I can actually take a Spirit Break with Garganackle, given the Intimidate onto Grimmsnarl. But if they're smart, I think they'll think about doubling up on a Garganackle here. Thunder Wave is a huge problem for me. King Gambit switches, though, okay. Wait, that's a huge deal. It means I get Recover off. Maybe into their Arcanine? Okay. Yeah, that is literally, I feel like, the best outcome I can ask for if I hit this Will-O-Wisp. Wow. Okay, I'm very surprised about that, but I will gladly take it and run away with it. I mean, that's what Garganackle can do, right? This Pokemon is just nuts. So, like, now I heal up so much of the damage, and my opponent spent so much time trying to get off onto me, and I was able to burn the Tusk, which I feel like is a huge deal here, because that's one of their primary attackers. It's a very pleasant surprise, honestly. I think the main debate I should be thinking about right now is who I want to Terra in this matchup. Dark Terra, funnily enough, would have saved me from Thunder Wave earlier. I should have actually thought about that, but I still could have missed Will-O-Wisp. I think I Ghost Terra this, honestly. It does make me weak to Kowtow Cleave. That's the one downside. Like, I want to Will-O-Wisp, Grimmsnarl, Terra, and then recover. I think their Garganackle answers are just, like, very quickly getting exhausted. And Soul Cure is going to add up a ton as well pretty soon. I'm just trying to heal back a little bit more first to get there. Okay, they go for Headlong Rush, sure, into Arcanine, but with the burn, that's not going to KO. Drops their defenses. Citrus Berry heals us up. Cool. Spirit Break, yep, onto Garganackle. But now I'll end the turn basically at full HP. So the fact that they gave me Breathing Room with Garganackle allows me to just completely run away with it. And that was the thing, right? Like, my opponent, the turn they played previously when I double protected with Arcanine and Garganackle, like, the fact that they didn't aggressively target Garganackle made me think they just, like, didn't respect it as much and thought Spirit Break would be able to get the knockout. So being able to leverage that to my advantage was already really good, and then things became even better when they switched out Great Tusk, or switched in Great Tusk, because that does not obviously want to get burnt. Okay. So the burn damage is adding up. They set up Reflect. We've only seen Reflect, Spirit Break, Thunder Wave. Surely it's Light Screen. It's Light Clay here, so you would expect that. I am okay just protecting here and clicking Sulk here. Yeah, and I'll target the Tusk. Then I can bring out Iron Hands. I can fake out. This game might take a while, but I feel very comfortable with my position currently. Yep. Headlong Rush and Arcanine. I could consider switching Arcanine out next turn, I think. Yeah, and they're just going to Spirit Break. But this is like the classic, okay, what does Grimmsnarl do past the beginning of the game, right? And at this point, like, everything is slowly getting chipped away at their end between Sulkure and Burn. And Garganacle's at full HP. We also know that even with the paralysis, Arcanine is still faster than the King Gambit, which is good information. The only downside is, like, I went for this Ghost Terra, but it hasn't really actually provided value for me so far. I don't think I actually needed to commit the Terra like that, and now Kowtow Cleave is super effective into me, which is kind of scary. There's Sulkure. So I could consider switching out right now. If I give this up, so free switch it into Iron Hands. I don't know. I think Arcanine's really served its purpose, but conserving for Roaring Moon actually does make some sense to me. But I have Flutter Mane in the back. Okay. I'm just going to Sulkure Grim. I'm going to Headlong Rush. Okay, it was Arcanine. Yep. I think the main thing is this potential Thunder Wave coming out from the Grimmsnarl next turn is kind of annoying, right? And the one downside with Garganacl right now is I'm not actually really dealing damage with it. Like, I'm just slowly clicking Sulkure. So we're both in this awkward position where I think, like, neither of us want to switch out immediately, and they're probably looking to get another Thunder Wave off with Grimmsnarl. So I'm probably going to bring out Iron Hands first. Yeah, because at least you can't paralyze either of my Pokemon. And everything's just slowly getting chipped away, but between Burn and Sulkure, it's adding up very quickly. Okay. There's Sulkure. But yeah, I think Garganacl was necessary in this game, because I really don't think I could have just, like, brute forced it with pure offense. So, we'll bring out Iron Hands. I definitely misclicked. That was supposed to be Iron Hands. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, it's actually really okay, because I can actually just protect here. It's the last one to Reflect, so I can just switch out into my Iron Hands now, and then just, like, fake out and Moonblast next turn. But Tusk switches out, okay? Into Arcanine. Oh, interesting. The fact that Arcanine's their last one, I definitely did not expect that. I thought certainly it would be Roaring Moon, but that means they have way less offense than I thought they would, which I think is a really big deal, especially with Iron Hands coming out right now. Because if we pick up 2 knockouts, I can just Parasol to end this game. And I actually think that's the angle I'm going to go for here. And they set up Light Screen, sure. So it's pretty easy to fake out Arcanine right now and then just Moonblast into Grimmsnarl. That's what we're going to go for. It's time to finally pick up knockouts. Once Grim goes down, I mean, there's nothing that switches in Moonblast into Moonblast on that slot. Okay, they set up Reflect, cool. So they didn't bother setting up or going for Thunder Wave, which is good for us. So that's 1 knockout now. They can bring out King Gambit, which I would expect to defensively Terra as the thing. Their Arcanine could have Will-O-Wisp. It's still a pretty scary position, honestly, because I don't know the Terra on their end yet. I would expect, I don't know, Flying Terror maybe? I definitely want to protect here. I'm thinking just protect and Thunder Punch into King Gambit. I think King Gambit has to Terra this turn. But they don't Terra. Okay, if they're not Terraing, then it's a protect, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yep, they have Will-O-Wisp. Is my Iron Hands faster than their King Gambit? That's the other question right now. We know your leftovers. You have both screens up. I just need one more KO. I'm wondering if, like, me showing Thunder Punch, though, will freak them out a little bit here. I think I'd rather go into Garganackle. I'm just thinking about going all in this turn, like Moonblast into this and then just Drain Punch it as well. Surely this Terra's though, right? I'm gonna switch into Garganackle and Drain Punch. I think without knowing the Terra makes this tough, right? They haven't Terra'd yet, have they? King Gambit, Arcanine, Grimmsnarl, Great Tusk. Oh, they actually switch. I'm okay with that outcome. Basically, like, I just need to get one more knockout, and I'm so close. And they Snarl. Okay, great. That works for me. Because if I get one more knockout, and I have the Pokemon advantage, then I can Perish Song. Right now, it's pretty easy to just double up onto Tusk. This is really intense. I think games in this format can go on for a very long time, and this game is showing exactly that because of Intimidate, Will-O-Wisp, Salt Cure. Yeah, so I'm going to Salt Cure into this. Really want to just get this out of the way, so I want to just Drain Punch it. Okay, they have Knockoff. Gets rid of Leftovers. I think that's fine, though. Heat Wave. Yeah, that's fine. The only awkward thing right now is I need to get Flutter Mane in safely. I'm so close to the win. Like, I can feel it, basically. Heat Wave, Snarl. So I can Wide Guard. Okay, I think I see the win. I think it looks like Arcanine. It's Heat Wave, Snarl, Will-O-Wisp. I don't know what the fourth move is. I guess it could be Flare Blitz, but essentially what I want to do right now is, like, Wide Guard and then switch in Flutter Mane safely, because then I can Perish Song. What's the alternative? I could just recover here, no? Wide Guard just allows me to get Flutter Mane in super safely. Okay, I'm gonna Wide Guard switch out. Wide Guard switch out, then I could Perish Song with... Because the Great Tusk is fainting after this turn. Yeah, I think this game became a lot harder because I missed that Will-O-Wisp on King Gambit initially, meaning that I have to play differently around it. So they knock off, that's fine. Get rid of Sash. Yeah, and they Heat Wave. Cool. So now I click Perish Song. And I can switch the Garganackle out into Iron Hands. Especially with Heatwave and Snarl Arcanine, like Flare Blitz would be a little bit more threatening here. But the thing is, King Gambit doesn't have enough firepower to potentially just like clean up everything right now, so have to be careful about that. Yeah, I'd like to switch out right now and click Perish Song. And if they KO Flutter Mane, great. Then I bring out Garganacl back out. I fake out King Gambit, recover, and I think that puts us in a very commanding position. But it took so long to get here. I had to be so patient. We finally see a Terra. Curious what Terra it was, especially since they switched out King Gambit earlier. I thought they could have just stayed in. Flying? It was just dark. Huh, interesting. Yeah, I thought King Gambit could have just stayed in earlier in the battle then. I thought them switching out to Great Tusk actually benefited me personally. Here's Perish Song. They Snarl, it's fine. Because they had Grimmsnarl and dual screens in this one, like, trying to brute force with offense was so difficult, right? Which is why I wanted to play the more stall-oriented strategy with Garganacl. So there's Kowtow Cleave. Perfect. Yeah, that should win us the game. And the reason that should win us the game is because now Perish is 3 turns. I fake out into King Gambit, switch into Garganacl, it's 2 turns. Protect Garganacl. Oh wait, is it guaranteed? Hold on. 2 turns, protect Garganacl. I mean, it should be fine because Iron Hand shouldn't faint here, right? So, fake out, switch. Then it's 2 turns. Then Garganacl protects. Iron Hands is still on the field. 1 turn, Flutter Mane comes out, protect, game over. The only way they could win is if they somehow KO'd Iron Hands right now, but Arcanine does not have the firepower with Heatwave or Snarl, so unless they had a rogue like Flare Blitz, we should be good. Just Heatwave. Yeah, beautiful. And that's why I think Perish Song Flutter Mane is really interesting, because it creates these intricate endgame scenarios where you can kind of pull out these endgames. But yeah, I mean, this battle literally lasted like 20 minutes, which is wild. But patience is key. And Arcanine was so important in spreading Will-O-Wisps, right? Even though we missed that initial one on King Gambit. But, like I said, now we just protect the Garganacl. And then Flutter Mane comes out and protects, and that's game over. And yeah, my opponent recognizes that. So, if I had hit that Will-O-Wisp on King Gambit, maybe I could have played a more offensive approach in this endgame. But since they also burnt me on Iron Hands and also had dual screen support, I think it was just way too difficult to try to go with that approach. So, yeah. I think Series 2 is a format that I feel like games can go on for a very, very long time. Especially since I feel like Garganacl won the Series 1 regionals. It's back on people's radar. Like, this is just a really strong Pokemon. But I think it's interesting if you kind of look at that matchup, like, how important were the Paradox Mons versus the non-Paradox Mons. Because Arcanine, actually, I would argue, is, like, one of the biggest MVPs. And Garganacl was... I don't think I could have won that battle without Garganacl. So, yeah. But let's keep going. Okay, this is a pseudo Trick Room team. They've got King Gambit, not King Gambit, Farigiraf, Torkoal, Tusk, Torkoal, I already said Torkoal, Arcanine, Roaring Moon, and Iron Bundle. Trick Room's kind of scary, no? But it's interesting, they don't have Fake Out, so they want to go Trick Room. What's their lead? Like Roaring Moon or Arcanine plus Farigiraf? I generally like Baxcalibur, but it has to worry about their Arcanine. I think their Arcanine's really quite annoying for us here. See, if they didn't have Farigiraf, I would definitely prioritize Iron Bundle here, but because they have the Trick Room component, I'm actually not quite sure I want it. What tools do I use to win this? We could go Garganacl. With Wide Guard, it's pretty solid, but I don't know if they even go with Trick Room, honestly. Okay, I'm going to go Baxcalibur, Iron Bundle, Arcanine, and Flutter Mane in the back. I think if I was 100% confident they'd go with Trick Room, I think Torkoal and Farigiraf are stronger considerations here. But I don't know. Also, like, let's say even they try to go with Trick Room, like, I could just Hydro Pump and Icicle Spear into Farigiraf. It's gonna be Arcanine Bundle. Okay, this is slightly awkward. Intimidate. My booster energy goes out first. I mean, I'd love to just Hydro Pump their Arcanine, but I think their Arcanine just protecting turn 1 would make sense. There's no booster energy from their end, though. Okay. Glaive Rush plus Icy Wind won't KO this, though. I don't know. I think Arcanine protecting or going for a Terra certainly makes a lot of sense here. I'm kind of down to actually just Freeze Dry and Glaive Rush Iron Bundle. Arcanine switches, fine by me. Farigiraf, okay. The problem is this Intimidate that I ate up. That does so much damage, wow. The Icy Wind, okay. I'll take it. Iron Bundle is still speedy. We knock out their Iron Bundle immediately. The problem is, like, given that Farigiraf has now hit the field, I'm worried about dealing with Trick Room. What do you even do? Torkoal? Also, Icy Wind is kind of counterproductive to, like, trying to take advantage of Trick Room. Great Tusk comes out. I almost want to just double up onto this thing. But I think a switch into Arcanine makes a lot of sense. And also just like Hydro Pump. I also could have gone, I don't know, Terra, Ice, Iron Bundle, Clear Amulet. That's cool. And they Terra here. Oh, Clear Amulet's such a good item here for them. Okay, that's... Oh, but it's Farigiraf Terraing. Into normal for Hyper Voice. I see. That's a very cool set. I like that a lot. They probably Trick Room here? Huh, how do I get around this? Oh, they just clicked Hyper Voice. Okay. Maybe they don't have Trick Room. Well, Hydro Pump into Great Tusk is guaranteed, basically. Like, I'm down to Snarl and Hydro Pump here. Yep, they switch, but Arcanine kind of gets dunked on this as well, as long as I don't miss. I think Trick Room there would have screwed me over really badly. I'm just really nervous about missing Hydro right now. I think if we don't miss, I'm in super good shape. Nice. Connects. Beautiful. The thing is, I could still easily lose up 4-2 with Trick Room from their end. But I think if they just Hyper Voice again here, it's game over. They actually do just Hyper Voice again. Okay. Well, I said it's game over, so now I actually got to prove that it's game over. But the thing is, I can just bring out Flutter Mane now and click Parasol once again, and then Will-O-Wisp with Arcanine. Into, Tusk. What if I actually just went on the offense? I'm just trying to, like, think about how I could lose the game. Will-O-Wisp miss could actually cost me things. We all know how that's played out before. I don't know if, like, Icicle Spear plus Flare Blitz is a guaranteed KO onto Farigiraf. I don't know the item on that even, so... I think by bringing out Flutter Mane, Will-O-Wisp into Parasong here puts me in a really close to winning the battle. Just, did they not have Trick Room is my question? Because that would be, I mean, they have Torkoal on their team, like, surely they do, right? If you have Trick Room, you could just protect Tusk right now and then Trick Room. That gives them some room. Top row width. Yep. I just, yeah, I feel like if they had Trick Room, they maybe missed out on an opportunity to go for a little bit earlier, because I think I couldn't handle the combination of Great Tusk plus normal Farigiraf under Trick Room. I could have read into the, you know, Protect there and gone for another Snarl, but Farigiraf's not really the problem at this point. So there is Trick Room, yeah. I don't know, it just would make no sense to have Torkoal on the team otherwise. Well, actually, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Like, Torkoal can activate the abilities. Okay. If I just double Protect right now, 2 turns of Perish Song. With Focus Sash here and Terra here in the back, I think we're in okay shape. Yeah. Just double Protect here. Helping Hand. Ooh. Okay. It's actually really good to confirm they have that. That's quite scary. But what are you going for? Earthquake? That would be funny. It's close combat into Arcanine. Interesting. 2 turns now. Yeah, wait, I mean, I just give up both Pokemon, bring up Excalibur, and then Protect with it, no? Yeah. This is a wrap. Okay, they just Psyshock. Sure. Like, even if you pick up a double KO here, I still win with Bax. Headlong Rush, yeah. Okay. And there's just 1 turn left. Perish is so strong as an endgame win con. I really like it on Fluttermane, because I think Fluttermane, like, doesn't actually deal that much damage. And, like, if you use it offensively, you know, with, like, a offensive boosting item, for example, it's so easy to KO. Priority attacks are just kind of a nightmare for it. But, yeah, we just run up Excalibur and Protect here. Cool. Protect with Arcanine, Protect with Excalibur, and that's GG. I think the thing about these endgames is I don't necessarily need Perish to win, but Perish creates a 100% win condition, right? And, like, being able to win Pokemon with an 100% chance is as good as you'll take in a game that has potential RNG like this, right? But I think in this game, if my opponent set up Trick Room with Farigiraf the turn that they switched out, I switched in Arcanine, I think I would have been done for, especially because they had the clear Amulet. I think there was just too much offense from the opposing side for me to deal with. But with them, like, tearing Farigiraf and then us having Bundle out, I, like, kind of pinned the Tusk slot, because then Hydro Pump was just, like, a guaranteed attack into that slot, basically. So, yeah. That will be a double knockout. Arcanine will also faint from Perish Song, but that's fine. Excalibur will survive, and that's all we needed. Beautiful. Cool. I think this game does highlight, though, like, I didn't do a great job of potentially denying Trick Room, and it was tough because I think, like, I normally, to deal with Trick Room, I like brute forcing, like, using the Excalibur and just dealing as much damage as possible with it, but that's not that easy in this matchup because of Intimidate from Arcanine. So, yeah. But since it's the beginning of Series 2, let's keep going. Okay. Well, that is a Series 1 team, essentially, but that doesn't mean we should underestimate it by any means. I think the Paradox Pokemon are obviously incredibly powerful, but you could totally succeed without any Paradox Mons on your team. So, The main thing I want to watch out for is Quick Attack Sylveon into Weak Armor, Weakness Policy, Dark Terra Armor Rouge. I think that's like the #1 thing I want to look out for. No NDD on their team is really interesting though, honestly. Klefki's annoying. I can't knock it out very easily, actually. This is weird. This is a weird one. I don't actually feel that great about this matchup, wildly enough. I also only have 20 seconds to make my decisions. I really don't know. Garganackle, Bundle, Fluttermane, Backs. I don't know. Arcanine is decent here and intimidates Garchomp, but if they have Clear Amulet, which some Garchomps run, Arcanine's way worse. I think Clear Amulet and White Herb. Actually, I mean, I would just use Clear Amulet. But I think Clear Amulet as an item is going to rise in stock in Series 2. Klefki Annihilate. Arcanine actually would have worked here because it would have been able to Will-O-Wisp. Huh. I mean, my priority here is to ideally just KO Klefki ASAP. I guess this could Final Gambit, but I actually don't think that's even that bad for me. Like, I kind of want to just Sulk here and Hydro Pump turn 1 onto this. Annihilate is scary offensively, but even without tearing the Garganackle here, like, a fighting type attack shouldn't KO me. And since I have Fluttermane in the back, if I just get 2 knockouts, we can go for the Perish Song endgame. I'm gonna opt for Thunder Wave here, but I think I'll still be faster thanks to the speed boost. Good start. And they bulk up. Oh. I wonder if Hydro would have gotten the knockout anyway, though. Probably not. Yeah, actually, after how much Sulk here does, maybe. I don't mind switching into Fluttermane right now, I think. I could just protect. But I think they might Drain Punch that slot. It's just a little risky because, of course, they could actually go for Rage Fist. But I don't think Rage Fist makes that much sense onto it, but it would cover for the Fluttermane switch in. Yeah, they set up Light Screen, which is fine. I think Hydro plus Sulk here still finishes it off. Okay, let me at least get this off. Ooh, it actually will survive, I think. They bulk up again, sure. Yeah, this is why missing that first Hydro Pump really sucks, because they would not have gotten the screens up, but it's fine. Yeah, and getting Light Screen makes a huge difference here, but I will just double protect here. Klefki gets eliminated, bait out a Terra from Annihilate ideally, and then we'll go from there. The problem is that now they set up Light Screen. If Hydro did not miss on turn 1, I think that the Klefki probably just goes down. No, I guess they could still lights. As long as they survive with any amount of HP. Steel Terra. Steel Terra is interesting because Sulk here is now better into you. But yeah, I fear that I actually really need to bring Arcanine into this matchup. Like, this bulk up Annihilate is just stacking up so quickly, and that's a problem for me. Okay, just Thunder Wave. One thing we could do, by the way, is just click Perish Song, even though my opponent isn't down to their final couple of Pokemon. And the reason is to basically incentivize Annihilate to switch out and get rid of its boosts. Klefki now faints. Yeah, my problem is I think I'm actually completely walled by this Annihilate. I didn't realize how good bulk up Annihilate was just in team preview, but man, it is solid. Rotom Wash comes out. It's that light screen that really makes this so much tougher for me, I think. I mean, I want to just Moonblast and Freeze Dry here, but I expect Rotom to survive. I think it's still worth going for, though. Shout out to Iron Bundle being so fast, though, you know? Oh, maybe Shadow Ball for a special defense drop was worth it there. Should have thought about that. Ah, close, but not enough. But we freeze the Rotom. Okay. Citrus Berry. I also could have considered tearing with Flutter Mane or Bundle to get that knockout. Drain Punch KOs me. But we're getting ever so close to the Parasong endgame. That's obviously a really lucky freeze. Let's see if they thaw. Okay, they thaw out. Well, that only feels fair. Going to Baxcalibur. Man, this bulk up Annihilate with Steel Terra is such a problem. We just did a little bit more damage last turn. This also would have been a win. I should have considered tearing Flutter Mane. We actually were so close to getting that KO. With the extra damage output from Moonblast, it may have been enough. I mean, I want to Parasong, Terra, and then rush into Rotom here. But I think Rotom could very easily just protect right now. And if Rotom protects... Gosh, I'm probably done for, right? Like, what am I going in on here? Hoping Rotom does not protect and Annihilate targets Baxcalibur? I feel like the odds of that are pretty slim. Yeah. I don't know how else I'm supposed to get around this, though. I guess is the problem. I think if they target Baxcalibur, actually, it's still winnable. Okay, they do. Oh my gosh, this game is not making it easy for me. Oh. But 2 Drain Punches would have KO'd me anyway, so I don't think that actually makes that much of a difference. Man, Moonblast isn't even a guaranteed knockout on a Rotom. Okay, I'm gonna Ice Shard Moonblast Rotom. Try to secure the knockout onto that at least. So at least now Annihilate is going down next turn. Not next turn, but the subsequent turn. They Rage Fist into Flutter Mane, yeah. I don't know, in my head I was like, if Garganacl gets a double protect, then the Annihilate faints. Man, I just did not realize how strong bulk up Annihilate was into what I brought. Like, it's also, not knowing the Terra makes it a lot harder, right? Because it ends up being Steel, which is really bad. It's Armarouge. Yeah, that turn 1 Para was also a disaster, because I think them setting up Light Screen meant that I couldn't KO Rotom, but I think I missed the play of tearing my, Flutter Mane. I don't know if it would have done enough, but given how little Rotom survived with Citrus, maybe it would have. No, I don't think it would have made the difference, right? Because I would have just ended up activating Citrus Berry, and then they would have healed back up anyway. Yeah. I think the only way I can win this is double protect on Garganacl, then Sulcure recover into Armarouge, stall it out. Which, actually, all things considered, those are not terrible odds given where the game state was. They go for another bulk up. That's a really good play. Wow. Oh, and they have Energy Ball. Okay. Yeah. If you have Energy Ball, then I really don't think I have an out here, but let's see. Because that's just so strong into Garganacl, but I'll go for the double protect, and for some reason Armor is just slower here. Glaive Rush. Even if we get the double, though. Okay, we do get the double. The game becomes more interesting now. It would be fascinating if Armor was just slower than us here. But they're not, yeah. So I honestly think Armor still wins this 1v1 because they have Energy Ball. But we'll see. Like, this is my only out, right? So I might as well play towards it. But yeah, I feel like my opponent executed this. Oh, and their Life Orb. Okay. I really think I don't have an out here then. Yeah, that is going to just kind of dunk on us. I could have conserved my Terra, but if I conserve my Terra, then it turns into Ghost and an Armor Cannon just KOs me. I needed Arcanine, I guess, into this matchup. I don't know. In a best of 3, I'd also consider Iron Hands, but yeah. We'll just Sulk here, but they were not weakness policy at all. Tool 6 to... Oh, okay. Well, that ensures the victory. Definitely gonna have a couple things go more my way in the early game, but I don't know if it would have... Wait, Sulkier did so much damage there, though. Yeah, but there's no out because they got that special defense drop. But even without the special defense drop, I don't think I would have healed back enough anyway. Oh, I just feel so... I missed the opportunity to Ice Shard with Bax. Oh, I also could have protected into Sulk Curing, right? Wait, I think I actually... Because Sulk Cure is special and they have Light Screen, right? Sulk Cure is special? No, it's physical. Never mind. Okay, we're... Because I was like, we did so much damage there, but... Yeah, there's no other way to win here other than infinite protects. But there is a win con, so I'll go for it rather than just giving up. I think I would need like 3 more protects, though. The odds are so astronomically low, but like, might as well. I'm wasting all of my good fortune with double protects on a game I'm gonna lose anyway. Oh my gosh. I can't remember the last time I got like double protects in a game, and somehow we've gotten it here, but we're still gonna lose, most likely. Gotta go for it, though. Is it just one more Sulk here at this point? That would be the wildest way to win. Yeah, we don't get it. That means Ice Shard from the Baxcalibur would have actually done the extra little bit of damage I needed to win the game there. So it's interesting, right? Like, I had an opportunity to win here. I still would have needed to get really lucky because I would have needed the double protects, right? 2 double protects. But, like, the odds of that are not, like, that. Like, it's not, like, 0.00001%, right? Like, it's within the realm of reason. I was just like... Yeah, I mean, if in the off chance Armor was just straight up slower, then this Glaive Rush could just straight up win. But yeah, Ice Shard there would have actually given me the little bit of extra damage I needed to secure that end game. So, I mean, ultimately, what went wrong for me in this game, I had nothing for Steel, Terra, Bulk Up, Annihilate. Like, that is an absolute nightmare to go up against, and the solution would have been Arcanine with Will-O-Wisp. The thing with Arcanines, I actually probably would have had to Terra in order to get around the Thunder Wave from Klefki, because that was a really big problem for me. So, yeah. Anyway... That's it for Series 2 for our very first episode. As you can see, you do not need Paradox Pokemon on your team to thrive. My opponent did not have any Paradox Mons in that matchup, and they gave me a good kick in there. So, nice job playing around that Annihilate, and yeah, I think I didn't realize just how good Bulk Up Annihilate was into the team that we featured here, and so that's definitely a solid counter if you're looking for an answer. And I think it was that plus a priority Thunder Wave control, because otherwise, of course, I can just bring out Arcanine, Intimidate you, and then Will-O-Wisp you immediately, but then Thunder Wave would just slow me down immediately, and that is pretty scary. I think, like I said, I feel like I missed... Nah, I don't think the... Oh, wait. Because Freeze Dry went off first. No. We were paralyzed. So it went Flutter Mane first, then Freeze Dry. Because I was like, if Freeze Dry went off first, we do less than half, then maybe Fairy Terra can finish it off, but the Citrus Berry on Rotom is what really ruins me in that position. Iron Hands really doesn't do anything into the Annihilate there. an Arcanine would have been the solution, but without knowing what Terra they were, like sometimes you're like Water Terra or Fire Terra, it's a different ball game. But yeah, my opponent played around Annihilate beautifully. But what's crazy is I actually could have won that endgame if I had Ice Sharded with Excalibur. So the one time I get like 2 double protects off ends up being a losing game anyway. But you got to play towards your routes, right? So the fact that there is any chance of winning means you should take it. So thanks so much as always for watching. And yeah, Series 2, definitely really interesting. I think the games are a lot longer than on average than Series 1. And I'm looking forward to featuring more teams. So yep, I'll see you all soon.